Hi, Zotek just sent in a couple of soldering irons for me to review. These are of two different models. Here is the ZT-N1 and here is the ZT-N2. From a glance, they look virtually identical, except for the model number printed on the label here. And if you look at the product boxes they shipped in, you will see that these two product boxes are virtually identical as well. So what's the difference between the N1 and N2? Well, if you look at the other side of the box, you will see that the model N2 is not your typical soldering iron, as it also has a built-in multimeter, whereas N1 is just simply a soldering iron here. So I guess to stand out these days, you have to be creative. I have seen bench power supply and multimeter combo, multimeter and thermal camera combo before. Now, this is actually the first time I'm seeing a multimeter and soldering iron combo, so I'm definitely interested in finding out how well it works. I guess the market for these test equipment and tools must be very competitive, as manufacturers had to come up with these new ways to cram different functionalities into a single device in order to make their products standing out. Anyway, a multimeter and a soldering iron is definitely an interesting combo, and inclusion of a multimeter is apparently what differentiates the ZT-N2 from the ZT-N1. These soldering irons are powered by USB-C and are equipped with standard T12 soldering tips. When powered by a standard USB-C PD power supply, which outputs roughly 19 volts, you can expect around 45 watts from these soldering irons. For a T12 tip, the maximum rated power is at around 72 watts, which can be achieved with a 24 volts power supply. Alright, now let's take a look at these soldering irons. The case is made of aluminum, you can see here, and these irons have a cap, which you can twist on and off, which is very handy as after soldering, the tips will be hot. So with this cap, you can easily put in your pocket without having to worry about the hot tip. And the aluminum case definitely feels substantial. Now the tips here I mentioned is T12, you can see here. By the way, let me open the other one too, you can see. Essentially these are identical soldering irons, except of course the shrouds here are different color. Anyway, both of the N1 and N2 are shipped with these kind of knife-style tips. Now this is not my favorite. My favorite kind is either a chiseled or a beveled tip. The tip is actually simply inserted into the iron, so there's no retention mechanism as you can see. I can simply just pull it out, just like that. But the fit is pretty snug, and you have to use a little bit of force to press it all the way in, so I don't think it will become loose during your normal soldering. Anyway, let me plug in the power supply and take a look. The soldering iron came with this USB cable, but it doesn't come with a USB power supply, so you have to supply your own. But any PD power supply would work. So you can see right now we inserted the USB cable, and of course it powered on. And there are two options. You can select setup or you can select the iron. So let's actually take a look at the setup. So press OK, and this is a temperature display. Let's actually zoom it in so you can see it better. So this is a temperature display, and the next one is calibration. And that's actually it. Wow, so this is actually pretty simple. So let's go take a look at the iron. So I press OK, and by the look of it, it's preset to 220, and of course we can increase the temperature here. So let's do 300. Let's do 320. It's pretty easy to work with here. Of course, you can change it up and down. So once it's okay, let's wait. Yep, it's set to 320. And you can see that the iron heats up actually really quickly. And not sure if you can read here, it tells you the input voltage, which is 19 volts, and the current power consumption, because now, of course, the soldering iron has been heated up. So the wattage dropped back to 0. But once in a while, you will see that number changes. Anyway, this is probably the simplest manual design that I have seen in a soldering iron. I actually like this a lot. When you think about it, a soldering iron, all you really needed is the ability for you to control the temperature. And yes, with some soldering irons, you can program the preset temperature values, but I don't mind adjusting the temperature myself. By the way, let's actually check whether or not it remembers the temperature setting when I power it back on. So let me unplug the USB. So let me plug it back in and turn it on. Aha, excellent. As you can see here, it remembered the prior temperature setting. I actually prefer this design than having different temperature presets. I definitely like the simplicity of the soldering iron. Now let's solder a row of header just to try it out. So let's put a header in. And I'm going to zoom in so you can see what I'm doing here. By the way, the USB cable is a bit short, but that's why it's dangling from the other side. So let's see if it's in camera here. And now you can see, because we have this knife style tip, it is wider than the pitch of the circuit board, but it still works pretty well. I can see here. Now, of course, I have some solder bridge. By the way, it's much harder to solder on camera than you are doing it by yourself, just because the angle here. There. Oh, I still missed the 3 here, so let's do these. As you can see, no problem. Now, I suppose one of the benefits of this knife style tip is the ability to cover multiple soldering points at once. And this actually can be very useful when desoldering stuff from the circuit board, but not so much for soldering. Anyway, the grip of this iron is nice and secure, and the weight balance is excellent. Again, the KR type soldering tip is not my favorite, but you can always get interchangeable T12 soldering tips, which shouldn't be an issue. Now let's take a look at the ZT-N2. As I mentioned earlier, the soldering functionality is identical to that of the N1. The main difference is the added multimeter. Because it has a multimeter built in, it also has a built-in lithium-ion battery, so when the power is supplied, it actually defaults to the charging mode. So let's actually show you that. You can see I plug in the power supply, and it will show you the battery is charging. All you need to do is long press the power button to power on the unit. And you can see right now the manual options are essentially the same, except we have one extra. That's for the multimeter. And by the way, the soldering functionality works exactly the same as the N1. Let me quickly show you that. So I hit OK, and you can see again, this one presets to 220. Let me zoom in a little bit. And now it's heating up. So that works exactly the same. I can lower the temperature, I can increase the operating temperature, just like you can do on the N2. Exactly the same. Anyway, so that's the soldering functionality here. You can see that again, it reaches the tip operating temperature pretty quickly. So let me power it off here, and I will just show you. Without the USB cable plugged in, you can power it on directly. So let's actually take a look at the setup here. And you can see we have the temperature, we have the voltage input, and this one actually has a few more options, I guess. And yep, you can see auto power off, 10 minutes, and calibration, but not that many more options. Again, it's still pretty simple. Actually, hang on, I think I skipped an item. Let's go back. Yep, you can see we have this new menu option called Soldering Set Off. And what it controls is whether the iron stays on or off when the external USB power source is removed. By default, it's set to off. Obviously, ZT-N2 only has a small internal battery, so I would not expect it to last long. But the built-in battery will keep the iron warm for a few minutes. And let me demonstrate that. Let me change this to on. And let's get out here. So watch what happens. I'm going to attempt to start iron. Let me zoom in so you can see the screen a little bit better. So now, of course, is showing 11 watts, and it's not much, but it is able to, you can see here, gradually increase the soldering temperature. Of course, this is also the case if you remove the power source while it is heated. It will retain that heat. Of course, you can see that the battery is already draining, and it is not really meant for you to use a battery for a prolonged period of time. But if you just are doing a couple of soldering joints, potentially you can use this feature. Now you can see that it took quite a bit of time to just reach 135 degrees. That's because we're only consuming 8 watts here, 11 watts, and that's really not a whole lot. But nevertheless, you have the capability of doing that if you need to. And you can see after a long wait, we finally reached 220 degrees. Of course, this is probably not going to be sufficient for soldering, but it did take a long time. So if you set it to be 300 degrees, it will take even longer. Alright, now I plugged in the USB and let's set it to a higher temperature here. Let's do 330. And let's wait. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to unplug the USB cable and let's see what happens here. And you can see we are drawing about 11 watts and we're able to maintain that 330 degrees. So that's a feature that's unique to ZT-N2. I really like this feature because in a pinch you can actually use the soldering iron to do the work without having to worry about the USB cable. Of course, it's only going to be for a few minutes. Anyway, you have already seen me using the ZT-N1, so I'm not going to demonstrate soldering with the ZT-N2 as it's virtually the same. Let's concentrate on the multimeter functionality here. Now here comes the first issue I see. The soldering tip can also be used as the multimeter probe. That's really a clever design, but the problem is once you've done soldering, sometimes the tip has a lot of residue on it, and it might not make good contact. So sometimes you do want to use a dedicated tip. Luckily, the tip is supplied. But the problem is, once you've done soldering, the tip remains hot, so you will have to wait till it cools down before you can actually change the tip. So let me wait till it cools down. While we're waiting, let's talk about the specs of the multimeter. It is a 4000 counts auto ranging meter. In DC mode, it has a 400 millivolts range, 4 volts range, and 36 volts range. And yes, the highest voltage it can measure is 36 volts. And in AC mode, it has two ranges, 4 volts and 36 volts. For resistance measurement range, it has several ranges, between 400 ohms up to 40 mega ohms, and also can do continuity testing. And given it's just a simple meter, there's no current testing support. And let me see if the soldering tip is still hot. Okay, it's fine, so let me pull it out. And you can see we can insert this tip. And by the way, here is the negative. You can see we have this USB, we can plug it in. So that is our multimeter. Let's just zoom in a little bit so we can see. It does remind you to attach the leads and also not to measure anything above 36 volts. And the multimeter is essentially in this auto ranging mode. You can use the button here to change to different ranges. You can see DC, RMS AC, and of course the auto is resistance. So let's actually take a look at the resistance here. You can see we do get this buzzer, but of course the buzzer is a little bit slow. Let's change it back to DC and do some measurements. First, let's verify the DC measurement accuracy with my MV216A voltage standard. Because this meter can actually measure down to 0.1 millivolts, so let's actually do 1 millivolt at a time, and let's take a look. Let me just zoom in a little bit more so you can see the display here. So let me do 1 millivolt, 2, 3, yeah, you can see that we are getting reasonable results here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can see the update rate is reasonably fast. So let's do, let's say, 100 millivolts at a time. 100, 2, 3, 4, no problem. 5, because it's a 4,000 count meter, you can see right now we lost one digit here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 1 volt. Alright, let's just do 1 volt at a time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you can see the DC measurement works pretty well. So now let's measure a few resistors. And let's go to resistance mode. Essentially it's auto. Let's see if we can measure a 100 ohm resistor. Yeah, the accuracy obviously is not as ideal for low resistance measurement because we have these long wires, and also I don't think you can zero out the meter here. Anyway, so we're measuring roughly 100. Depends on how I hold the meter here. It's 118 ohms, which is quite a bit out. Let's try a larger resistor. So this is a 10K resistor. You can see, yeah, we're able to get the reading pretty fast. So that's definitely a plus. So in a pinch, you can definitely use this to verify your components, but not necessarily using it to get the precise reading here. So let's do another one. You can see we are able to measure this 1 meg with no problem. Although the measurement speed is pretty fast, unfortunately it's not a full-featured multimeter, as it does not have the ability to measure capacitance or current. Let's actually change the tip back to the soldering tip and see how well that works as the multimeter tip. So let's take a look. Yeah, the measurement is still all over the place. So clearly the accuracy in the resistance mode is not as good. So let's take a look at the 10K. Yeah, the 10K has no problem, but I have to say the measurement speed is really fast. Another limitation of the multimeter is obviously the maximum input voltage is limited to 36 volts. While it is well within the range for most electronics, you will need to make sure that the voltages you are working with is well within that range, for the safety of the meter as well as your personal safety. With all that said, either version will fulfill your soldering needs. The N2 version is only slightly more expensive than the N1 version, so it doesn't hurt to get N2 if you are carrying it around for some minor field work. And the benefit is that you've already got yourself a multimeter, so you don't have to carry extra. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this review. If you liked the video, please remember to give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this in the future. Your participation makes videos like this possible. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.